Would you ever volunteer yourself to have random chemicals injected into your body or holes drilled into it? Would you ever volunteer your family cat or dog to do that? I hope your answers to both of those questions were no, and that is why I'm here today. I'm here today because animal testing and experimenting needs to be stopped. Before we dive in, animal testing and experimenting is trying new products or medical procedures on animals before humans. Now, you might be thinking, well, if we stop experimenting on animals, won't we have to do it on humans? In the rest of this discussion, I'm going to explain why it needs to be stopped, and let me start by saying that we already do test on animals. I'm going to hopefully get you on my side by discussing the low correlations with animal studies in humans, the torture animals are subjected to during the studies, and lastly, alternatives to testing on animals. Now, to begin, did you know that the National Institutes of Health and PETA reported that 95 out of 100 drug tests that pass the animal testing fail in human trials? When experimenting on animals, scientists have to mimic human diseases or human body parts, and that very rarely correlates with actual human physiology. Human diseases are extremely complex and hard to replicate. On top of that, they are doing this while the animals are in distress, which also impacts the results. To put it into perspective, scientists have been studying and have cured cancer in mice for decades, but this has never helped in any human research. Another example is that scientists have been doing stroke research on animals. During these tests, more than 114 trials that the animals passed failed in human trials. Just from that, the testing doesn't sound that horrible, but wait till you hear how they tested it. To test it, they would either clamp the animal's blood vessels extremely hard or artificially insert blood clots into their bodies. When scientists are doing medical research, they have many options of what animals to choose from, whether it's dogs, rats, bunnies, fish, monkeys, anything you can think of. Animals in these experiments are put through many things. People will shock them, drill holes into them, make the animals run until a heart attack occurs, and much more graphic details I'd prefer to leave out of a school speech. On the other hand, it's not just animal experimentation that's brutal. It's also makeup testing. Ever since I was little, I heard about testing makeup on animals and just thought it was rubbing a little bit of lipstick on a bunny. Well, that is not the case. How bad can that be? When testing eye makeup or eye creams, they inject the serums into rabbits' eyes. This not only is extremely painful to them, but also blinds them. When testing products not involved with the eyes, they inject it in their mouths or in their skins and even rub it on their skin. This creates skin burns and welts on the animals, and in the end, all it does is create an illusion of safety for us. Animals do not need to die for us or go through all this pain and distress for us all for nothing. There are many alternatives to this that have existed for a while now that do not halt medical progress. Scientists have figured out how to grow animal and human cells as well as grow them into 3D structures, like human organs. This correlates far more with human structures and has already began aiding in developments in diseases like cancer. There are also ways to get actual human tissues through donations from things like surgery. Computers are also getting more sophisticated day by day, and if scientists keep working to develop that, they can most likely develop a more complex human model for them to work with. You can also help through volunteer studies. These are nothing like the animal studies. First of all, everything is done with your permission. Second of all, no one would subject humans to the kind of torture they are doing to these animals. On the other hand, there are other ways for you to help by buying cruelty-free brands. There are hundreds of cruelty-free food brands, which means animals are taken care of well and not killed inhumanely. There are also hundreds of cruelty-free makeup and skincare brands. For example, Lush, a store in most malls around us, is completely cruelty-free and works to end animal testing on top of it. Lush sells everything from bath bombs to toothpaste to makeup to shampoo and so on, without harming the animals. Imagine what would happen if doctors started using alternatives and people stopped buying brands that support and partake in animal testing. We would be exactly the same, but animals would not be rotting in cages being prodded with needles. There would not be puppies lying around with holes in their heads, no bunnies being burned and having their vision taken away from them, no baby monkeys getting needles shoved into their eyes, and so on. I would never put any of my pets through that, nor do I want any other helpless animals going through it. Animals have brains and feelings too, and do not deserve this treatment. In the end, after discussing how the studies barely help advance human research, how they subject animals to torture, and how there are alternatives to it that exist, I hope you are as disgusted by animal testing as I am. Next time you're going to buy makeup or shampoo or even food, please consider buying a cruelty-free brand. Thank you.